Well, whatever happened there, I hit the wrong button, but I always do this crap. Um, Anyways, I know I had a few people in there and some people watched part of my screw up on there. Anyway, I'll just wait for you guys to get back in here. Because this is really supposed to be an Ask Me Anything. And I gave you guys good points. So now if you guys want, you can ask me anything you guys want. If not, then I'm just going to talk. Maybe we'll do a couple staring contests because you guys know I'm good for that. So anyway, going into the new year, yeah, I'm going to be kind of just changing things up. It's going to be easy to work out because I'm not going to have to think. And what I'm really going to be working on is getting back into my programming every single day. I also think it kind of got hard at one point where I kind of stepped away from it. But I think that with distractions, it's a lot harder to get into it. So as you guys know, I always wake up early. But now instead of going to the gym, I'll be going to jiu-jitsu. It starts at like 5 in the morning. So I'll get my workout done. It'll be a lot quicker because jiu-jitsu practice is only an hour, where workouts usually end up a little bit longer, but I'll get a lot more out of those workouts just because any kind of grappling sport is just a lot harder in general. And what I call this is a grand gesture. And they actually call it a grand gesture when you get into really learning about what deep work is and stuff like that. And what it is it's just putting yourself into like a new environment or spending a lot of money on something that you want to do. Because once you do that, you basically make yourself think that it's a valuable thing to you. So you're going to put time into doing it. I don't know if any of you have ever tried that, but it definitely works for me. Even with this YouTube channel, buying my gear kind of made it where I was like, okay, well, I bought the gear. I kind of have to do this. So basically, if you guys want to set a New Year's resolution and you have something you want to work on, then do that. And I'm going to read your question. 1 second. Any tips on committing to anything like a job, relationship, or even a goal? All right. So for me, when I commit to something, I really get into a flow state, because when I actually do commit to something, I don't have a choice, because I start to learn something. Even MBTI, like I'm committed to MBTI, but like it's not really a choice. It's going through my brain almost every single day. So what you have to do is find something that just piques your interest, and then find a way to dig deeper, and start looking at things differently. Like even relationships. I don't look at my relationship the same way I did when I was 20 anyway right now, because I'm looking at the relationship as how we grow, and I'm really trying to figure out the psychology between my wife and myself. And when I started landscaping, I told you guys I didn't even really like landscaping until I went to school for it. So it gave me more things to start incorporating into the business, which, because I was learning those things, I couldn't back away from them. They were things that were feeding my introverted thinking, that were just continuously allowing me to go and explore that topic deeper. Honestly, the reason I don't really do a lot of landscaping is because there was a time I came to the point where like there wasn't much for me to learn, and I really did have to move on. So yeah, I think that like the goal is important, but if you're not sticking to it, it's either you're not challenging yourself enough, or it may even be the timing in a way, because how am I going to explain this? When you first get into something, you're most likely not gonna like it. Then I'm gonna use jiu-jitsu right now. I'm not really learning anything because I'm a white belt and I've already done wrestling. But when I get to a blue belt, there's going to be more for me to learn. So really getting to that blue belt is going to be the hardest part for me. And getting to a black belt's my main goal, but just getting to the blue belt is going to be the hardest part. Once I get to the blue belt, I understand it's going to be a lot more fun because I'm going to learn a lot more things. Um, so what are your, like, do you have a goal? Maybe you give me what your goal is. I'll be able to kind of help you work out an actual way of getting through it. The relationship is really, you have to find someone interesting and that's willing to grow. And honestly, I could never stick to a job because I got bored. I didn't like bosses. And that's why the opening my business was what really challenged me. And really, the same thing happens with MBTI. What happens is that I think about these things even at night. I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes at like midnight, and I start just, I don't dream, but I'll start saying TINNESIFE and putting types to it just because it's become my challenge. It's become the thing that I'm going deep into. Uh, Sometimes I do this with programming, but the thing is, I don't know enough about programming right now to even get into that kind of flow state. That's what you're really looking for, is a flow state. And it's got to be specific for yourself. You don't have a goal in my life. I'm just drifting aimlessly. I'm not going to lie to you. That's a big part of being our personality type in INTP. Are you in like school or anything? Because that was where I found myself. Was really, for the first school I went to was automotive school. I realized I was pretty good at fixing things. That alone just motivated me. I didn't want to work. Like, that's the thing, and I still don't really like to work. But the fun of the challenge of learning that skill when I went to automotive school. Plus, you watch other people learn it. Then I went to horticulture school, and that was just completely different. That was like pretty hard science, biology and chemistry, and all those we were learning. So it was something that just interested me. But to be honest with you, when I went to go sign up for college, I was going to become an EMT, and because I was just drifting aimlessly. One of the teachers there said, "Oh, you run a landscape company. We have the horticulture program. Why don't you take it?" And I said, "Okay, I'll just take it." And that kind of opened up this whole new world to and that's what I'm trying to get you guys to do, is you have to open yourself up to these new conscious experiences, because they really they become this whole new part of you. And I think it may seem like a persona. I'm taking class in programming. I was excited when I started, but now that I've gone into it, I'm struggling with the class and really looking at other careers. Okay. I've said it before. I do the programming, but it's not really a TINE thing. It's really SI. And the same thing happens in a lot of fields. So, what other careers? I mean, that's like, what other careers would you be thinking of? Are you looking to find like a specific skill? Is that what it is? And do you mind like doing like, the reason I like programming now is because, okay, I have a whole plan of what I'm going to build right now, like, and what I'm working towards building. And the only reason I know what it is because of my landscaping, my experience in the landscaping industry. Okay. As in physical therapist or a mental health therapist? Because I do think, honestly, I would say like if you really do, okay. I work in mental health, so I'll tell you, it's a hard place to work. But I do think psychology, all of those are really good, but you really have to be willing to build on them. And I do think maybe psychology, because like really this the field itself is expanding right now, and like it's got so much to it. Physics, I mean, I think there's a lot to it, but I think a lot is answered. Where I think right now, like if you're looking, I think we get excited by the new ideas. Programming itself is just a kind of a pathway to like a new idea in a way, where psychology is coming out with all these new ideas more so. And then like even if you like the programming like myself, you might be able to use that programming later on in that industry. I tell a lot of people, don't try to go right into the programming, because the programming is going to be useful in specific industries. Where I was getting to before was I didn't know I liked landscaping. I got into landscaping. I realized where things could be fixed in landscaping, and that's why I learned programming. Specifically, like people doing manual labor that robots could really be doing, like plowing driveways. It would be so much easier to build a robot that plowed somebody's driveway than a self-driving car, and you'd have somewhere to start. But anyway, back to your thing is like, okay, you get into psychology, physics, and then you start realizing what are the real problems in these places. And don't be scared. Like, here's the thing. If you're scared to address those problems, you're not going to be able to grow. It's kind of like, even on here, if somebody wants to talk about MBTI and the problems with it, if they don't bring it up, it's never going to allow you to grow on it. And the thing about programming is that it's all problems. That's really what it is. It's just like kind of a tool. So I would find one of those industries, and then keep your programming on the side. Like that's basically what I'm doing. It's I have my industries and I'm programming, and once I get so good at programming, it's going to be a lot easier to bring them into the industries. It's also the programming was kind of just like, hey, I need more to learn at that point. So, but honestly, me and you have kind of agreed on a lot of things. And if I was going to choose one of those, I would say psychology itself. You seem to like the psychological topics. So right now you can get into like trying to like work with fMRI machines and things like that. I think INTPs may really be good at that, because when you really think about what they have to do with an fMRI machine is see what's happening with people related to the information that's coming back from the machines. And I think that's pretty interesting. So you can let me know what you think about that. The thing about mental health is, I'm going to be honest, I've been working in mental health since I was 14, and I didn't realize it, but like it's taken like an emotional toll on me. It's because my residents that I still work with these people, but even through COVID, it got a little bit worse. But like anyone who has a mental health problem also has a higher chance of like suffering from physical ailments as well, and you're going to have to deal with those a lot. And as much as INTPs can be cold and things, we're not like heartless and that kind of stuff. Really, I think it taught me a lot of empathy, but like it's not the ideal place for somebody as an INTP, because we do really, we've said it, we understand other people's emotions, and when we see other people suffering like that, we really are going to feel it. I don't even think in the moment we're going to realize it. It's going to be like later on. Like in the past like year, I'd probably look back at like 15 people that I've known since I was 14 who have died and things like that. So that, I don't know, therapy is a lot harder. Even like, it's kind of why I kind of got out of like trying to coach people so much, is just conversate with people. We don't really work like that. So I think we work with things that we can find connections from. What do you think? Do you like psychology? Is that like something you would think about going for? Because I honestly, well, to actually be a horticulturalist, you do need a psychology degree as well. And I've always thought about it as well. but I don't know. I do think that like getting into that field and being able to make those connections of how people's brains operate is so cool. And once you do that, maybe your programming could be used to find other ways of tracking mental models, like maybe hooking parts up to your hand while at your brain to see how things are happening and stuff like that. If you guys have ever watched like the Axis 12 guy, he's using programming skills to do facial recognition and crossing it over to MBTI cognitive functions. And that's the fun stuff. And no one like I think that's why we may hesitate, is because no one else really gets it. It's not like these are common things to do. These are just like, hey, this is what I think would be cool. You've obviously made some kind of connections between these things that like they interest you for some reason. So go, like, you can go drift through life and go take the classes. I mean, basically that's how I spent my childhood. I was drifting through life taking classes, you know what I mean? And finally it came to that point. Mm-hmm. I really do get that, and like that's pretty much how I am. Um, the hard part is getting to be able to bring those new ideas, um, and you just have to like flow through it. The It's not like the ideas are going to come instantly. I don't think you have like the ideas are going to come through a lot of the SITI, just storing information, and then finally coming to a point where, oh, that works there, or this is the same thing as that. And the truth is, when you go to explain that, there's going to be people who say that's not true, and yeah, that's the next part of it is like being willing to kind of argue your points or clarify them for people in that way. Because there's a reason, like most people don't even want to focus on doing that, and that's me. That's why I'm trying to encourage INTPs to do things, because we do have that. We really do. Like it's. I didn't even realize it until more recently that like sometimes I just go way out there with something somebody's saying and they just don't understand like how it connects. Sometimes I can help them. So, just flow through whatever classes you have to take to get to that point of making connections. Just let me bring this idea up really quick about TI and voltology. I don't know if you guys like that, but voltology, if you go on their thing, it kind of says like, like TI is Zen, and kind of flow with that. Like it's okay to kind of be an open book or a blank slate or however you want to look at it. And when you approach new things, try to do that. Like take that on. I think it makes it a lot more enjoyable. And if you're not going in with a mission, when something actually comes up that you can utilize, it'll really like be there for you. Do you know what I mean? That's really like what I think is that we're the type of people, if we're in that position and something's there for us to do, we're going to know. If you're not putting yourself into positions to know, then you're never going to find what your real calling is. And we all do have some kind of calling. Like it might not be something that other people think are great, but we all have something that, like, if we put ourselves into the positions, we'll find something that we like and something that we're willing to stand up for, or something that we're willing to prove, however it is, So I hope that helped you, because I understand how it is. Like I never said, "Oh, I'm going to college for this." It's just like I signed up one day. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this long-term plan. It was like, this seems good in the moment. A lot of times, I'll be honest, especially earlier, it was like, "Hey, what are the other kids doing?" It wasn't like, "This is what I want to do." It's like, "This is what we do." How old are you? I'm just wondering, because I guess it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. I personally think that like going to college later isn't a bad thing. Like in your 30s, like it's really not. But yeah, that's what I got for you. That was pretty good. You made me think. Oh, dude, you got time. Like, see, like I'm not even like you've got time. You're 23. Like, okay, I'm gonna be honest. At 23, I thought I was going into the military. I was gonna give up my business to go up into the military, and I found out I'm colorblind. Like, so I don't know. Like, you've got time. Just keep going with the flow. Um, yeah, that's what I would say about that. Because honestly, that was like one thing. Like, I had planned for almost like 6 months before, and I was like training and everything. And I went up to MEPS, which is where you go sign your contract. And I did all the physicals and everything. And then they had me do this test with color blindness, and I found out I'm colorblind, which I could never have told you before. Um, and that was actually like something that like kind of beat me down, because I mean I was really working for it. I thought this is what I was doing, and it got thrown away. And that was right at 23. So if that can happen, and then I can still grow my business like after doing all that, it's like at 23 you still got a lot of time to get things going for yourself, for sure. Um, but if you're really having a hard time, you got to put yourself in something. Like put yourself in a position to learn something new, um, and where it's going to challenge you. You know, I'll be honest. When I'm at school, when I go to college, I'm the most annoying kid in class. I really am. It's like teacher, teacher. When I was in high school, I used to raise my hand and then think I was going to be wrong, so I would put it down. Like, and changing that and being the kid, hey, asking the questions, saying, you know, I would pull out a book. If a teacher said something and I didn't agree, I usually had like a book with me that had a different point in it, and I would pull that out and start talking about it. All the other kids would be looking at me like, oh, I wish you'd just shut up, you know? But you can do that. And I think as INTPs, we're scared to do that, but we can. And you know, when you actually are in those environments and you have like a teacher, those teachers are going to be okay with it. But you don't have to keep yourself quiet. You know what I mean? Just because you don't want to be wrong, it's like, hey, let's figure this all out. So take more than one class. Like, just do it. Unless there's like a real reason that you couldn't. But if you could, like, I would say just that's a big move right there. That's a grand gesture. Like, you're gonna fill your schedule with school and try to make it 2 days a week, because it's really hard if it's three. If that works, I mean that like if you're not doing anything, that is the best bet. You know, if you were working, I would say okay in between. But I don't know if you're working right now. I don't think we said anything about that. But and I know like looking at it like sucks, but fill them with classes that you like, things that just interest you. I never follow whatever they give me for the course, what I need for the courses. I just say, okay, this is what I'm working on. Do you know what motivates, like what has motivated you by any chance? Like, have you ever like felt motivated or okay, here's the thing, honestly, we're INTPs and that FE is important, which is why I think college is kind of, and so like that FE is the motivator. That's kind of why I pointed out that like that's how I ended up, because it's not the FE of keeping harmony. I was disruptive, like I really was. I put out a video like disrupt harmony, um, and by doing that, I created like friendships with my teachers, not friendships, but like better relationships with my teachers, uh, where they kind of understood how I was. That's and how do I put this? So like I worked so much with the teachers a lot of the time that like a lot of other things were overlooked because I was really working on like what we were doing. If we were learning about photosynthesis, I was like we were doing like studies with plants and greenhouses and things like that. And I was there before classes and after classes, and like that's the fun thing. And like um, then teachers may be willing to like work with you on the work if they know that you are putting yourself out there, and you really have to kind of disrupt that harmony. Disrupting harmony for an INTP is so much different than people would think, but it's more just like how people really get to know us, and we're scared to do it. So um, get good relationships with your teachers, and then like for just because I had good relationships with my teachers, I was more likely to do their assignment. Do you know what I mean? Actually, if I had a bad teacher, I'd just drop the class really fast. I kind of knew really fast if I wasn't going to stay with that teacher. Um, but like I never was motivated by grades or anything like that. So you got to be motivated by the tribe. It's a tribal thing. Like if I was a horticulture major, so there was like a tribe of horticulturalists, and you didn't want to look like an idiot because you all took pride in this field. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I ended up doing, was fitting, like being able to fit into that tribe to stay motivated. Um, and then when I was like working with customers, like those customers were my customers, the customers of my company. So I always wanted to make sure like I kept myself motivated to like keep them satisfied. And that's, there's a big mental game you're playing here for motivation. Um, because at the same time, like we do risk like being blaming our own motivation on others too, but it's more just that like we are more motivated when we are with people. So that's kind of what I have for you guys. Well, for you, I don't think I got too many viewers in this one, but that's okay because I actually had a lot of fun talking to you on this one. Anything else that you would like me to clarify for you? Just watching what you said is kind of like getting me thinking, because I'm not far off like with trying to figure out where I'm going to put my attention and things like that all the time. I think being forced to kind of slow down on it this year kind of like helped me kind of realize like, I really was flowing through life, but I was still getting a lot done. And I think like as an INTP, like just really be willing to flow through life like that. It's going to be beneficial for you if you're putting yourself in environments. You can flow through those environments. You don't need a lot of control through them. Even if it's like assignments, like we did study groups, and really it was a lot of like people like me. It wasn't like your average college kid wasn't like taking these classes. These were like classes for like nerds, and we would do study groups together and things like that, and that kept us all motivated. The work got done and stuff like that. So try to find your tribe based on the things that you like, because really when you think about it, no one likes a physicist except a physicist, right? Like a lot of other people criticize them because they have their tribe of physicists. And just in almost every group, it's you enter that industry and you're going to be able to find reasons to do the things that are really most important. Anyways, let me think. A lot of these things I put down: tribes, relationships, and finding just the time for focus. As my thing in the morning is waking up is like whatever I have to focus on is what I'm going to, or whatever I just need to get out of the way. It doesn't give me much time to think about it. Try to get like a flow going throughout your day, and it won't give you time to like think about all these reasons you should or shouldn't do these things. I know that's not easy to do, but once you start doing it and you do it like so if you do it with one thing, it's going to be easier with that one thing, and then later on you put in another thing to like kind of just keep that going. You can really get to like those 4 hour work days kind of. That was always my goal. I've been able to work 4 hour work days at times, but then I always just add more to myself, so it kind of isn't always going to work out like that. But yeah, I'm going to think about this some more too. Yeah, because are you scared of anything? Like if you don't do this stuff? Like I don't know. It's just interesting to me, like because I'm trying to figure it out for myself as well. Like why do I end up doing it? Is it that I am scared of something? And I do think, yeah, like that's probably it. It's like, and now that I have a son, it's like, oh my god, existential crisis here and there, right? Like, um, so that's why I'm really wondering if you're like scared because I think it's okay. It's okay as long as you're putting yourself out there, and if you're not scared to do that, then you're okay. And understanding like why you're doing it, like, hey, I don't want to end up homeless, poor, whatever it is, Um, hmm. Anyways, any other questions, or did I clear it up? I really don't know if I cleared it up. Yeah, that's what we do, dude. It really is. Like even sometimes, like we won't do something because it just doesn't seem perfect, and it really doesn't matter. Like trust me, like that's what happens, and it's like, hmm. Or it looks like someone could be around, and it's like, oh, I can't do this because someone's around. Yeah, that's the stuff like you have to learn to like really train yourself not to do in a way. And it's not easy, but it's a lot of timing. Getting like that's what I'm trying to. The timing thing is gonna like help with that. The motivation is really going to be towards the fun, the harmony. That's what I really think. And then if you find something you really like, you're just going to enter a flow state of like, this is what I need to learn. This is how I'm going to do it. And you're going to keep digging at that. Because I have a few things that I do that with, and it's not it's just flow. It's like I learned this yesterday. I'm going to look up this today. I'm going to write this out, and it's just because I really enjoy that topic. Um, there are times there's a lot of time. Like honestly, there's a lot of topics I couldn't do that with. It's not like INTP is just like every topic, but like, and there's a lot of topics that like they say INTPs would like that I really don't like in that kind of way. Um, but yeah. So one thing I wanted to tell you about actually is like one thing that really did like excite me, which actually surprised me when I was in horticulture school, was I learned like over 150 like tree names, and that was actually like a lot of fun. Um, I wonder what you think about that because would you get fun from like have fun from something like that? It was throughout the whole semester. I pretty much learned 10 a week, and I knew their scientific name. Um, I could identify them without leaves on them, and like that was fun to me. It was able to connect. Hey, this is what that stick looks like, and this is what that plant is. You also have to realize that like every all maples have the same leaves. Like you have the same pattern on all maples. They're just a little bit different. You get very similar bark and insides and things like that. So that was like how I was able to generate this excitement of learning about trees. But I didn't know that at first. Like when I took horticulture, I had to take a woody plants class, and this is what happened. And then I ended up obsessed with trees. Like we drive down the road, and I'll be telling my wife, "Oh, that's that, and things like that." And I didn't know that was something I liked. So by putting yourself into like just school, you're gonna find something. Maybe take like 4 different topics and find the one you like the best. But like one thing I'll tell you is like when I was in horticulture too, I asked my teacher who was in charge. I said, "Hey, what should I go to? What should I like my next thing be after I get my 2-year degree? Like what should my?" He tried to tell me business, and I was like, "I'm not going to school for business." So you gotta figure like and then that's the thing is like once you get into like once I learned I loved horticulture, it was like no, I like science and stuff. I don't want to go to school for business. I just understand business. So you kind of gotta put yourself out there. Maybe you think you like one thing, and then you realize you love something else, and really be willing to dedicate your time to it. Like however it is, psychology is a great one. Physics is hard, I think, and being a mental health therapist is. I honestly, I was going to put out a video telling people they if you want to learn to be empathetic, like or empathic, however you want to use it, it's whatever. Get into mental health because you're going to really understand how bad people do have it compared to yourself, even. And I think that's probably why I like a part of me is like a hard worker because I don't ever want to be in the position of having to deal with severe like mental health issues that I've seen like other people do. So yeah, if you want to do, if you want to learn empathy and really understand like the negative side of the world, then mental health is a place to be. I'll be 100% honest. But I really hope that you figure it out either way, dude. Because really, put yourself out there, and the worst that happens, you don't like the subject. The best that happens, you fall in love with something, and you'll be making YouTube videos teaching people about it. Because that's how life really does work. And 23 is really young, and if you have more energy now than you think. Put yourself in them, and you'll find out like how much energy you have. Plus, I think like now there's like a lot of like online classes you could take too in colleges and stuff. So it might be easier for you to take more classes. But anything else? Because if not, then you basically covered my whole thing of words. See, I just had words, and you basically covered the whole thing for me by asking that question. You made me think about it. Now, I can't get back into the relationship thing because I do think that the relationship thing is like it's hard. Like that's the thing is like it's very specific to you. And the one thing I would say is don't worry about the relationship until you kind of know what you want to do. And that's probably why you're not committed to a relationship. Honestly, is like if you like us INTPs think before we get into things like that. Like you said, you might make it bigger than it is. You might think like you're in the gutters, but maybe you're not. But you're not getting into a relationship and staying committed to one for a reason. And it's probably because you really realize that you have to put yourself out there and get your. I think it seems obvious to me that you want some kind of education in some way, maybe something that says, hey, my thoughts matter, and I get that too because certifications and things like that matter. And maybe once you get through that stage of your life, it may seem a lot easier getting into a relationship. And if you're playing it that way, then that's actually like really good for you, in my opinion. That was one of the first things me and my wife clarified, actually, was that, like, hey, I've been in relationships, they didn't work out because of this, and we're on a similar path. We've gotten to this point, and we're gonna move up. We're gonna be able to work this out. And if you find somebody and you don't and you haven't put that work in that you want, that you feel comfortable in, then that you're proud of, that makes you, you're selling yourself when you get into a relationship. So obviously you don't feel like you can sell yourself right now. And once you do, once you get those qualifications, you're going to feel like you can sell yourself as somebody that, like, hey, we're worth going out. And then you're going to be able to be kind of picky about it too, because you have qualifications and you can find somebody qualified. I use that word so wrong, but anyway, it's a good match for you, who's maybe on the same path or something like that. Yeah, that one was good. Anyways, that's kind of what you're looking at right there. But what do you think about that? Do you have any thing against that, or do you think maybe I'm wrong or right? Um, anyways, guys, I've been on here for 41 minutes. That's okay with me. I can stay on here. I don't have to pick up my son. He's at his grandmother's house for like another hour. But uh, that's okay too, though. Like that, it's. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're 23. Uh, it's okay to wait too. I mean, even if you, yeah, I get it. That's kind of why I was like, I don't know your own personal life about that, but it was just something that I kind of know about myself, is like, if I haven't put in the work to feel like I deserve something, I wouldn't even chase after it. That's just me. Or if I feel like there's more work to do, it might be the perfectionist thing now that I'm explaining it. But if there's more work to do, then I'm not likely to move on to the next thing, which would be like a serious relationship or whatever. But you still have needs at 23, so stay in your non-serious relationship if that's what you need, right? Uh, but yeah, dude, just honestly, my best bet for you, or my best advice for you, and your best bet would be load your schedule up, take the classes that seem interesting to you, and I think probably by next year you're going to say, "Hey, I have a path. I know where I'm going." Um, that it's going to take self control, commitment to it, but you could definitely do it, and then maybe as far as your relationship goes, you're going to say, hey, I'm ready to be in a serious relationship. Maybe even during it, you might say, hey, a serious relationship is better. Or I don't know if you have any problems in your relationship, but maybe you'll realize if there's a reason that you haven't made it official yet. But you got to get yourself saying, like, you got to get yourself an identity of like, hey, I put in this work and this is who I am. And I deserve this because of it, and I want this, and I'm going to get it. And I bet you next year when I'm live streaming for 2023, you're going to come on and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, or I bet you've at least found some kind of path, because yeah, once your schedule is loaded, you're going to have to figure out something to do. That's what I had to do. But anyways, I didn't get a lot of viewers, but I had one great viewer, and I think I had a couple others who came in and out. I don't think anyone else is joining in on this conversation, but I like these live streams so much more than just posting a video. It's just so much more fun. So yeah, I'm going to probably end this one, but you guys can probably count on another one pretty soon. I'm gonna give like maybe 30 or 40 seconds. Sweet. I'm gonna give like maybe like 30 seconds just in case someone comes in, because sometimes that does happen to me, but not really. Other than that, like I do want to say thanks for your questions. It does give me something to think about, and as far as I'm concerned, I hope I can help people realize that their potential is there and they can get to it. And yep, I'm ending this. I'll catch you on the next episode of Cognition Ignition with C-Class. Thanks for watching.